Hey everybody. This week on Catch a Memory Outdoors, my special guest is my one and only son, Captain Justin Ross, and hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy this episode of the show. Hey guys and gals, welcome. It's another edition of Catch a Memory right here on WWBC 1510 AM. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in every Saturday morning right here. See what's going on up and down the Space Coast. I'm Captain Jim Ross. I'm your host of the show. For those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking a look at the show here and seeing if you like it or not. For those of you that are out there on Facebook and YouTube, good morning to you guys as well. Appreciate y'all tuning in. It's going to be a fantastic show this morning. I got Captain Justin Ross in the studio. Good morning.
How's it going today?
Doing good. And it's a good day probably to not be on the water because it's a little moist out there.
Yeah, it's a little wet, a little windy.
It's not what it could be. So it's a good day to be in the studio. But we've had a good week, and we want to talk about that a little bit this week. And if you guys and gals want to get involved with the show, we would love to hear from you. 321-632-1000. That's 321-632-1000. That's our call-in line. You can get us right here live in the studio this morning. And we want to say thank you to Blue Points Marina for being this segment sponsor of the show. So if you guys and gals are looking for a good place to keep your boat, check Blue Points out. You guys and gals are going to be impressed. You know, Justin, we had a really interesting last 2 weeks almost of weather where we've had extreme cold at the beginning of the week 2 weeks ago. Well, not extreme, but cold.
Cold for us.
Water temperatures in the low to mid 50s.
Yeah, I mean 55 one day.
Yeah. And yesterday, 70.
Yep.
And the day before, 68. So it's interesting, you know. This in the springtime we've got this yo-yoing effect of cold, hot, and you know a lot of guys and gals don't really they just don't follow what the fish are doing because you know we're on the water pretty much every day and we can kind of go, okay, yesterday this was working and the day before it was working and today all of a sudden temperature's
that
different.
Didn't work.
It's not working. So we're changing what we're doing on a daily basis right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to keep up with right now to actually stay on the fish.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, because the fish, when, like you said, when it gets cold like that, they want to group up, they want to get in the deep holes, and then when the sun is out, you know, if it comes out from behind the clouds, they want to just sit in the sun.
Yes.
And compared to when it's hot, they'll spread out. They'll get out of those holes and spread out onto the flats. And then you're looking for, you know, single cruising fish instead of a group of them that are all hunkered down.
Exactly. And the species change.
Yeah.
You know, I fished Sebastian on Thursday, and the water from Sebastian Inlet north, there was an outgoing tide in the morning. Looks like junk.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, it was really super clean. And for some reason, all of a sudden, it's just dirty. It's kind of nasty. There's some film and stuff. You know, it just does not look good. And I don't know where this crazy water came from. But what was interesting is on the outgoing tide, we were just drifting shrimp on a jig head through the inlet, you know, just working the edges of the channel, working out in front of the T-dock, working from, you know, in front of the cleaning tables, all of those areas right down there at Sebastian Inlet. And that's, and you know, I like to work the north side of the inlet most of the time, but the seam, if you will, the seam of water where you can see the debris and leaves and all of that sort of stuff was more towards the south. And so typically I find that when I'm fishing Sebastian Inlet, that wherever that seam is, if there's bait fish or shrimp or crabs or whatever flowing out, that's where
where it's at.
That's where the fish line up.
Yeah.
So, you know, just because you like to fish on one side of the inlet or the other side doesn't make a difference. Really what you need to look at are what are the conditions for that day. And I saw a couple of people fishing around on the north side. I never really saw them catch anything or pull on anything other, you know, a couple of them were fighting the bottom.
The rock.
You can always, you know, you can always fight the bottom there. It's pretty hungry, and pretty rocky. But I ended up just staying over on that south side and just drifting that south side. And we didn't have. I mean, we didn't crush it. It wasn't a banner day, but it was one of those days. We had bluefish, we had ladyfish, we had Spanish mackerel, and we had mutton snapper.
Really?
Yeah, all on that same line.
Yeah.
And tide quit. I went outside, looked around. Water looked like crud out on the beach, and I'm like, I'm not staying out here. Just there's no sense. Normally, you get outside Sebastian Inlet, and there's life.
Yeah.
There's bait fish popping. There's jacks. There's bluefish. There's ladyfish. There's things going on, and I didn't see much. And I just said, you know what? Let's go back inside. We're gonna get an incoming tide here, and let's just see what happens on the incoming tide. So we went back in. Tide started coming in. I set up over near the north catwalk. That's where the seam was. Okay. We caught a couple more bluefish. Had a couple of bites. Got one gigantic mother-in-law. You can't go through Sebastian Inlet without drifting a shrimp and catching one or two.
You got
of
to
those.
get one of those.
And then all of a sudden, all that dirty water that was kind of out on the beach. What happened? There was cleaner. So the dirty water was coming from the north down the Indian River, out the inlet.
Yeah.
The cleaner water that was at that seam was just about at the green channel marker, almost at the end of the tide, on the south side of the inlet, the green piling channel marker. But the water that was filtering out from south of the inlet was the cleaner water.
Clean.
So there was that line there. Well, on the incoming tide, all the beach water was basically just kind of cruddy too. So there was no clean water on the incoming tide. And we really didn't, we caught a couple of fish, but not much.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? The conditions just aren't right to fish in here. The fellow was wanting to catch snook. And I said, conditions just aren't quite right to fish in here. And I mean, you can go and park at the end of the jetty with the other 19 boats and play bumper boats. That's not my style.
No.
I mean, that's not, most of our customers, that's not really their style. They want to, do something different. If you want to go in the parking lot, you can go to Walmart. It just, so, and those guys, I talked to a couple of them and they really weren't catching anything. And so to have, to sit there and be bumper to bumper, gunnel to gunnel with somebody and not catching fish, well, that just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit there and wait for them to wait for them to turn on. I've got to go do something different.
Yeah.
So anyway, I run on back into the inside and get on the back side of the inlet flat where everybody gets out and sandbars it up, if you will.
Yep.
And the water coming in was just starting to blend with the water to the south there, and right at first we got a bite or two, and then it kind of shut off because the dirtier water moved in. So I said, okay, this is a very simple explanation. Wherever the dirty water is where the fish don't want to be. Let's go find some clean water. So we ran south towards Wabasso and did pretty good down that way. More bluefish, more ladyfish. Found a couple of triple tail. So, it's one of those scenarios where the conditions warranted the movement.
Yeah.
And the movement created the bite for us. So that's the one thing that I realize from day to day to day to day to day is that you have to look at what the conditions are. Don't just say, hey, this spot was good yesterday and it's going to be good today too, because it may not be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I've been fishing up in the Cocoa, Port St. John area, and earlier this week when we were having the north wind, all of down by Cocoa was clean, and up into the Port St. John area was clean as well. And then it turned around and it started coming from the south on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and it got real dirty real fast. Yeah. It's all that dirty water started, I guess, that had been pushed down towards Sebastian was now coming back up the river. And it was a huge difference from, you could get 4 or 5 feet of viz to you got a foot and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was so crazy how much that dirty water changed what everything looked like. And because I was fishing just south of the 520, and then one day, and then I had to go pick someone up from that area, for one of my trips. They wanted to get picked up on their dock, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
Pull up to the dock
Yeah,
and jump on the boat. Yeah.
yeah. So I went in there to pick them up, and I couldn't even see bottom. And I was like, well, what happened
Wow.
in 2 days?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like it's deep in that area; it's super shallow. I was like, what happened in 2 days? You know, but that dirty water just moves up and down, and I even tried to cast on my way in there. I just tried to make a couple casts to see if I could get a trout or two, and just nothing.
Yeah, because normally those flats have some, scattered trout on them.
Yep, but nothing, nothing on them. Or if they were there, they were having a hard time finding the bait because of the dirty water.
Yeah.
But that temperature going up was really helping us because when it got real cold, the fish weren't too happy about it. The black drum will deal with it. The redfish kind of deal with it, but the trout and the snook, they hate that cold water.
Yeah. It's interesting as the water temperature got warmer, I started seeing more and more snook and more tarpon.
Yeah.
In fact, Thursday afternoon, I saw, I don't know, probably a dozen tarpon. Some of them even rolling, and
Yeah.
they never roll when they're cold.
No.
And so some of them were even starting to roll in one of the little areas that I was fishing. So I was thinking to myself, okay, tarpon are starting to roll. It's time to go find some finger mullets, some pilchards, some kind of a little bait fish
To go and put in their face.
to go and put in their face. It's interesting that, like you say, the black drum will deal with the cold, and they actually bite really good in it.
Yeah.
If that water temperature is anywhere from 55 to 62 ish degrees, the black drums seem to love that.
Yeah.
It gets a little hotter and they kind of slow down a little bit, and then by Thursday afternoon, with the water almost 70, they weren't feeding at all.
No.
It was like, no, not having it. We got one black drum that afternoon, and that was it. And normally it was a handful to 10.
Yeah.
In the previous days.
Yeah, you go and either put your shrimp right in their face or put it on a bobber and float it by them, and they want nothing to do with it.
They did not. Pretty interesting. So, the temperature change when you go from 55 to 70. It's a 15-degree change in
A week.
Yeah, 7 to 9 days.
Yeah.
And just very, very interesting to see the different fish and how they react to that. So like you were saying, now that the water temperature is back up around 68 to 70, everything's filtering out of those deeper holes and depressions, and it's going to start getting up on the flats. So now you have to go find the fish again.
Yeah.
It's one of those scenarios where you're like, okay, the redfish were hanging under the mangroves and the black drum were hanging under the mangroves. Now they're going to get out and get in the open. Well, now you got to go find where they want to concentrate at.
Yep.
Because they're just going to swim up and down the bank until they find a place they want to be.
But what's cool about it warming up and them starting to spread out like that, now that we're coming into spring, is we can start throwing topwater in the morning, and that's always fun.
Love me some topwater.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to that in the next probably 3 weeks. Start doing that.
In this time of the year, I really like to fish spoil islands. And so, some of the areas that I like to fish are, from Grant and Micco south to Wabasso, like where I was Thursday morning. I like to fish those spoil islands for big trout, big snook, redfish. But I tell you, that water being so dirty in there, that kind of puts a damper on what you can do. And
It makes it tough. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just you seeing the fish. It's the fish seeing what you're trying to put in front of them. That's why, that topwater does help a little bit with that, because it makes some noise as opposed to just being a visual thing. But you're right, that dirty water will really slow it down if it's going good.
Yeah, it will. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our first break of the morning. We'd love to hear from you. 321-632-1000. Captain Justin Ross and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be right back with a whole lot more Catch a Memory after these messages. Welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. I'm Captain Jim Ross. For those of you that are just joining in the show, Captain Justin Ross is in here with me this morning. And, it's real quick. I just wanted to say good morning to those of you guys out there on Facebook. And Shay Hobby, he says, good morning, captains. Springtime is on its way. And I just thought to myself, you know what? He is right, because I saw my first butterfly
Oh, yeah?
on Thursday. And that's the sign that spring is coming.
Yep.
Is you start to see those butterflies, when you're out there fishing. And of course, we call those ones that show up in late April, early May. We call those tarpon flies.
Yep.
Those white ones. But this one was a little yellow one, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's time. It's spring's coming.
Starting up.
Spring's coming. Hey, want to let you guys and gals know that if you haven't tried lamb deck, you got to try. So Justin, real quick, tell us 30 seconds about lamb deck.
So lamb deck is it's almost like a foam padding that they put down, but it's real heavy duty, doesn't stain hardly at all. I mean, it's super easy to clean. And the biggest thing that I've noticed about it is walking on it all day is so much nicer than walking on a hard deck all day. I mean, because, I'm sure guys that do it a lot, you spend 5, 6, 7 hours on a boat, you get off and your knees hurt, your hips hurt, your backs hurt. And, I mean, at the end of the day, when I get off our boat that has lamb deck, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Exactly. So there you have it, gang. Call Lamb Deck, 321-505-4888. Captain Justin approved. I'm telling you, you guys and gals are going to really like this stuff. Give it a try on your boat, and you won't be disappointed. Hey, we're going to go to the phone lines. Was Bob on the line here?
Yes.
Good morning, Bob.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Unfortunately, I have to work on a Saturday. Wish I could go fishing. But I see you guys, I listen to your show, and sometimes I see you on the water, and you're outdoorsmen who pay attention to your surroundings and the environment, and you care about the environment. And I've heard you talk about how they spray the plants on the freshwater lakes and stuff like that, and how it's changing your duck hunting and the life you see. I wonder if you take any notice of the spraying that's happening overhead in our skies.
I hadn't really paid any attention to it. What are they spraying?
Monday and Tuesday, we had perfectly blue skies, not a cloud or a streak. And then Wednesday, Thursday, nonstop jets laying these white trails in the sky, known as chemtrails. And
Gotcha.
they change our sky. They make it cloudy. They say it's geoengineering. I actually think it's bioengineering. And I was wondering if you guys see this as well. And if you looked up.
I know what you're talking about. I have definitely seen that before. I'm not sure what to make of that. We have to do a little more research into it, I assume.
Well, when you fish in the northern sections of the lagoon, I've been up that way on Route 1 and seen these big 747s taking off out of Tycho. Why would 747s be coming out of Tycho?
That's a good question.
And they're all white. They're unmarked. And sometimes I've seen two of them back to back landing right next to each other. So when I'm looking up in the sky, I see that same white jet. And they are laying it on us, and it changes the cloud cover. It's a wispy white particle that's being sprayed. And I'm not down with it.
No, I can imagine not. Well, I got a friend that works up at Tycho. I'm going to have to get in touch with him and
ask him about it.
See if we can get some information on that.
Yeah, could you look into that? Because, Gates talks about geoengineering and cooling the planet. Now NASA's talking about putting ice in space. And I think things are happening behind closed doors that we're not aware of.
Oh, that I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Well, Bob, we appreciate you calling this morning, and I'll get in touch with my friend up there and see if I can figure something out, and maybe we'll get an answer what those guys are dropping.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I've also not noticed many pollinating insects on my fruit trees.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Right. The bees are under attack. Bayer has now bought Monsanto, and they're trying to get rid of that food production.
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate the call this morning, and we'll get back with you.
Tight lines.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, bud.
Hey, guys and gals, wanted to let you know that we have got a cool thing going on this afternoon. If you're not doing anything, okay, the Cocoa Bassmasters first annual charity bass tournament's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Whiting came in last week, and we talked about it a little bit. And it's a charity event to raise some funds. But here's the cool thing: going to have some. It looks like they've got some different things going on. If you're not in the tournament, obviously you can still go. They've got raffles. They've got a 50-50 raffle that's going to be going on. They've got quite a few different prizes and things that you can look at. And food, fun, and fish. And the weigh-in is today at 3 p.m. So that's by the Cocoa Bassmasters. I'm going to be out there. But our producer Paul is going to probably stop out there as well. And I was talking with we had Blair and Captain Jeff Kranick on last week. They were talking about if they get a chance, they may stop out there too and check it out.
Where's it going to be at?
Over at F. Burton Park.
Gotcha. Over there, right
the
by
big pavilion on the south side of 520, about a mile east of the river.
Yep.
So they're putting the boats in at Lone Cabbage.
Yep.
Fishing that part of the St. John's and Poinsett and Middle River and all that stuff, and then back on the trailer, and then trailering their boats into the weigh-in at F. Burton Park. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be like an official Bassmaster type tournament.
Yep.
Where you come pulling up on your boat and walk up with your sack of fish.
And get your sack of fish out. Yep.
So if you guys and gals aren't doing anything, we're going to be out there this afternoon, and we'd love to see you too. You know what? Let's go ahead and get our next break out of the way, and when we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch Your Memory, so don't go away. Captain Justin Ross and myself are going to be right back after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Sun State Pest Management. If you got a pest problem, give Sun State a call. You know, this time of the year, I noticed that all of a sudden the fleas start popping out. So it's time to get that taken care of. You know, with our dogs that we have at the house, all of a sudden you see them, they start scratching more. They're itchy. You know, sometimes you can see their skin starts to get a little pink. They get, a lot of times their dogs are allergic to fleas. So that's one of the things that Sun State Pest Management can take care of for you. So if you have that kind of a problem or any other kind of a rodent or insect type of a problem, give them a call. They're real easy to reach. 800-781-7378. That's 1-800-781-7378. Let Sun State Pest Management take care of your
pest problem.
Pest issues, It's kind of funny. They can take care of basically anything you have a problem. So,
yeah.
I mean, they may not get the alligator out of your pond, but but everything else, they got this. You know what? One of the things that I was just kind of looking over the feed here, and Joe Kennedy says, I've noticed that tarpon love minnows. It's fun to watch them scoop them along the mangroves. And so last week and first part of this week, no popping, no, none of that. Wednesday and Thursday, pop here, a pop there.
Yep.
A slash here, a slash there. All of a sudden, those snook and tarpon that were so dormant and just laying there wouldn't move.
Yeah, for the last 2 weeks.
Now all of a sudden they're back to feeding again. So, that's a great thing. And last year we had a really good early tarpon season. They showed up in Wabasso and Sebastian all the way up to around Turkey Creek, in early April last year. I mean, we had such a warm spring, and virtually no winter, kind of like this year. No cold, just cool. No 30s,
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the same winter we've had this year, just kind of cool and wet. I'm expecting that we're going to see an early, tarpon push, if you will, come in. And, by April, those fish were all the way up to Titusville. I mean, we were seeing fish all through, Suntree and Melbourne, Cocoa, Rockledge, all the way up through to the South Titusville area. So, with another warm winter like we've had, warmer than average winter, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always okay for the tarpon to come in. Whenever they want to be here, they can be here. I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
And it's cool because sometimes they'll get, big jacks in there running with them too. I mean, and then of course they have the gaff tops that are always there.
You gotta deal with the sail cats.
Gotta deal with them. But actually last year, I was just riding down the river. I wasn't even like, yeah, we were kind of getting to like the tail end of when the tarpon were there, so I was kind of keeping an eye out for them, but not really. I was just kind of heading to my spot, and I saw these real big pushes, and I was like, man, that's got to be like dolphin or something, right? And so I had some
Big push.
big push. I mean, big push. And so I had some kids on the boat, and I was like, you know what? They might want to go over and look at the dolphins because they were in from, I don't know, some old place.
Somewhere north of the Florida line. Huh?
Yeah. And I was like, they might want to, go look at the dolphins. And I saw it way down the river. I mean, it was a big push. And so I started heading towards it. And as I'm getting closer, I'm getting more and more convinced that it's not dolphins. Just looking at the hard slashes that's going on and how whatever it is moving. And as I finally pulled up to it, I was like, that's got to be jacks. I mean, they're just blowing up on something. And so I ran over to the shoreline real quick to try and find some mullet, netted a couple mullet, came back out there, and it was just a giant school of big jacks, 20-plus pound jacks.
Big fish.
That were in the middle of the river. And we fished them for probably an hour and got quite a few bites.
That's interesting because they stay in the same depths, it seems like, as the tarpon do. They don't get up to the shoreline. They stay out in 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of water, out very close to the ICW channel.
Yeah. And so we got 5 or 6 bites out of them. And then they went down, and I have no idea where they went. So it was like, I don't know where they came from, and I don't know where they went to, but they were there.
They were there for a little while.
Yeah.
We got to play with them.
We got to play with them, and it was a ton of fun. But, I mean, it's cool, you're just rolling down the river, and it's like, you don't know what you're going to see out there. It could be a tarpon roll. It could be a jack blowing up. It could be big reds pushing.
I was working a flat just north of the 528 here Thursday morning. No, Wednesday morning, and there's a bull shark swimming along.
Just right next to you.
Right there next to the boat. I'm like, well, there you go. I mean, to me, it's a little early.
Yeah.
For them, but people are like, "Is there sharks in the river?" Oh yeah, there's sharks in the river.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is. I mean, we don't typically have any shark attacks in the river, but there's sharks in the river, so just know that.
But yeah, I'm like you said, I'm completely okay with the tarpon coming in. They're early, on time, whatever you want to do. Just get here.
Rapala makes this countdown series of lures,
mm-hmm.
and that little countdown minnow, it basically looks just like their floating models, like the F models. That little countdown minnow, that thing. Last year, I started throwing that in some of the residential canals in Merritt Island, Sykes Creek, and stuff, and that's a great little bait. It's it's just black and silver, black back, silver side,
simple,
yeah, and it's the size 5 or the size 7. They're kind of small,
yeah,
but man, the tarpon, that countdown series, the tarpon really like them because you're fishing in. In those residential canals, it's 5 to some of those are 8 or 9 feet deep.
Yeah.
And the tarpon suspend down about 2/3 of the way in the water column most of the time.
Yeah.
They'll come up and roll, but then when they go back down, let's just say it's 8 foot of water, they're down 5 feet.
Yeah.
If it's 5 foot of water, they're down 3.5 to 4 feet, and just throwing that thing out there and just slowly reeling it back, just a steady swimming retrieve, a little wiggle to the plug, not a whole lot of movement, and all of a sudden, baby tarpon hit just like they feel like a 15-pound ladyfish basically. Yep. There's this 4 or 5 little and then
you're on.
And you're on, and so. The problem with the countdowns is they come with these little teeny freshwater hooks on them.
Yeah.
And they just don't hold.
They bend out.
They straighten. Tarpon jumps and slings the plug, and then the hook's straight, and then you got to sit there and bend it back with your pliers, and you're going, it's just it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not, if they're slinging them like that, it's not going to work. So I ended up taking a couple of them and putting a size 6 4X treble on the front hook and an inline single hook on the back.
Yeah.
And VMC makes that size, number 6, 4 extra strong treble, and they also make those inline hooks. So if you guys and gals are looking to kind of modify your lures, whether it's like I said, the Countdown series or an X-Wrap or whatever
Whatever you throw.
you can see that a lot of the Rapala plugs in the saltwater line, the twitching mullets, the sub walks, some of these, they all come with those inline single hooks on them.
Yeah.
And changing over to that particular hook style, you get a better hookup ratio on the tarpon. And plug fishing for tarpon, you're it's not a high percentage landing scenario because they use the weight of the lure
plug. Yeah.
to kind of rip it out of themselves because they jump so violently and shake so violently. But even if you just jump them, it's a whole lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you really want to catch them, obviously the 7385 or a small circle hook, a small thin diameter circle hook is the way to go. Definitely. Because that's the way that like to fish them out in the open water, like you're saying, where the sail cats are and the jacks are and that
Yep.
sort of thing is and if we catch a ladyfish, a small ladyfish, I'll put a ladyfish out as bait too.
Yeah.
Because the catfish have a hard time eating those ladyfish. Or a finger mullet or something like that, they can eat them pretty easy.
Yeah, it's surprising what they can get in their mouth when they try to.
Or try to get in there.
Yeah, yeah. And then they end up beating your bait. Till it's...
Especially the banana river fish.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
The banana river catfish, they don't realize that they're only 5 or 6 pounds. They think they're 30.
And they will, I mean, I've seen them waking behind the boat to chase our baits.
Chase a bait.
I mean, literally fin out of the water, waking on our baits. And it's like, get away from that.
And you've got a greenie or a pogie or something out there, and you're like, oh, he's going to mow that thing down.
Yep.
So you try and reel it away from him. But yeah, you're right. So I'm really excited about first butterfly of the season this year. Spring's coming. Tarpon are going to be showing up, and we, like you said, we saw some baby tarpon this week. So
Yeah.
it's not. Hopefully, it's not far off. I'll tell you the other thing we're going to talk about when we come back after this next break is cobia, because we're going to talk about the catch conditions, and then we're going to talk about some cobia, because cobia, I believe this spring we're going to have a decent cobia season. Just looking at the setup that we have,
What we've got going on.
so let's take our next break a little bit early, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about cobia, so don't go away. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers, and I was telling you guys about this new Ultralight 60 that they just came out with. They've added a couple of neat features to this thing, kind of updated some of the lines on it. It's a good looking cooler. It's a very, very good performing cooler as well. So if you're looking for a really good cooler, check out Engel Coolers. They've got tons of them, from 7 quarts dry boxes all the way up to, 250, 300 quart coffins that you can basically put a giant tuna in. And of course, all the tumblers and various other things that they make. Just good stuff from Engel. Go to engelcoolers.com or check out your local retailer. Strike Zone, as an example, down in Melbourne, has a good supply of them. You can stop in there and check out what they've got going on. Justin, we were talking about spring. Cobia are obviously on everybody's mind. Anybody that fishes offshore in the springtime, cobia is on your mind. And there's been some cobia out on the reefs.
Yeah.
The party boats have been catching them pretty steadily out of Canaveral and out of Sebastian. The guys that are getting out to the reefs, out to the 70 to 90 foot reefs, when the water conditions are right and the bait is there, they're finding them as well. I looked, when we're cleaning our boats in the afternoon, I look at our next door neighbor's cobia bush.
You look at the bush.
That thing is blooming like crazy right now. It's an azalea bush, and it is blooming like crazy. And normally when it's blooming, that's a good sign that there's cobia nearby. So let's talk about the catch conditions, and then we'll try and talk about some spots maybe to go check whenever the seas get calm enough to go check.
Yeah, so today we have south winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southeast 5 to 10 by tonight. Season sight at 20 miles are supposed to be 3 to 5 feet with a period of 8 seconds. Current conditions at the 4-mile weather buoy off of Port Canaveral, we have a water temp of 66 degrees. Seas are 3 feet with a period of 7 seconds. At the 20-mile weather buoy off of Port Canaveral, water temp is 71 degrees. Seas are 5 foot with a period of 7 seconds. At the 6-mile weather buoy off of Fort Pierce, we got a water temp of 72. Seas are 5 feet with a period of 7 seconds. And then the western edge of the Gulf Stream is currently 41 miles east of Ponce, 35 east of Canaveral, and 30 east of Sebastian. Our current surf temp in Ponce is 62, at Cocoa Beach it's 65, and at Sebastian it's 68. And then our tides for Port Canaveral today are a high of 11:59 a.m., a low of 6:06 p.m., and then a high again at 12:44 a.m. And at Sebastian, we have a high of 11:48 a.m., a low of 6:17 p.m., and then a high again at 12:47 a.m.
And I forgot to write down the fishing and boating lunar table times, what's the best time to go fishing and hunting for the day. But today, and that's brought to you by All About Archery. I forgot to write it down there. But today, our major moon phase is going to be from about 4:45 to about 6:45 p.m. So that dusk time bite. If you're going hog hunting or something like that, it'd be a good time to be out there. And then, of course, the minor activity is going to be from about 10:04 to about 11:04 a.m., and that's presented by All About Archery. In fact, one of the things that I was going to say was, we're in the off season. Turkey hasn't started.
Yep.
Okay, a lot of guys like to bow hunt for turkey. Obviously, deer season is a couple of months away, but now is the time. If you're going to upgrade to a new bow, now's the time.
Yeah, you got to get it tuned up.
If you're going to take your bow in for a tune-up, now's the time.
Yep.
If you're going to, if you're looking at a new sight, a new arrow rest, new arrows, you want to change to a different kind of arrow. Now is the time to do that.
Different grain head.
Yeah, get in.
Yeah.
Get into All About Archery. Check them out. Let them tune up whatever you need to tune up. Let them get you a new bow if you want a new bow. And this is the time that you need to make that happen, because you don't want to wait to the last second and then change something and then try to recite your bow in, or learn how your new broadheads are going to fly,
exactly,
or whatever it happens to be. You want some time to practice with that. And if you start now, by next deer season, you can do it by turkey season, but definitely by next deer season, you're dialed back in, you're hitting exactly where you want to hit, and you can start splitting hairs when you get a chance to shoot at that hog or that deer out in the woods. So definitely this is the time to make sure you're getting that done. So let's go back to those conditions we were talking about. 4-mile buoy is 66 degrees. 20-mile buoy, this is out of Canaveral,
It's 71.
71. And then this morning, if I remember correctly, there's a new buoy out of Ponce, and that buoy was reporting, I believe, 65 or 66 degrees, 13 miles off of Ponce Inlet. So if you drew a contour line that says, okay, 66 at the Canaveral 4-mile buoy, drive it north up to that 66-ish at the 13-mile buoy, and then back around, coming back south to the 20-mile buoy off of Canaveral at 71. What is that magic 68 degrees?
Where's it at?
Where's that water temperature at? Guess what? It's laying right over the top of those 70 to 90 foot reefs.
Yep.
In the Central Florida region. So somewhere along there, the water conditions are the right temperature. Now you need to start searching along those reefs until you find the right other conditions. The bait in particular.
Yeah.
The clarity of the water. When you put the temperature, the bait, and the clarity together, you found the cobia.
With the structure?
With that structure, over
Yep.
that, you found them. And so, and then you follow that 68 to 72 degree, 71, 72 degree water temperature break all the way down towards Sebastian. Somewhere in that strip, that's where the fish are.
Yep.
So it's time. That cobia bush does not lie. It does not lie. When that thing's blooming, there's cobia offshore. So you guys and gals get ready, because as soon as this weather breaks, it's time to get out there and start searching.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's I mean, And of course, you know, sometimes they're on rays, sometimes they're not on rays. Most of the time, I mean, you and I, Justin, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we did a lot of sight casting at free swimming or fish following
rays. Yeah.
That's not really the pattern anymore.
No, I've definitely found that in the last 2 or 3 years, especially, there are a lot of empty rays.
A lot of them. A lot of empty rays. You were right about that.
But it seems like the fish that are on the structure are much more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hardly see them, like you said, free swimming. I mean, I can't remember the last time I just saw one free swimming by himself. And it's not that they don't get on the rays anymore, because they will. But it's just so much, it seems like it's trended so much towards they're sitting on the structure anymore.
Yeah.
And then following the big sharks around.
Unfortunately, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which the big sharks, the big bulls, and the big sandbars are an issue. But structure fishing for cobia isn't the most exciting way to catch them, obviously, because you're not sight casting to that ray. You're sight casting to a free swimmer. But it's still, you know, that structure fishing is going to be the most productive way to catch those fish. And remember, gang, if you guys haven't looked at the new regulations on cobia, the new regulations are 36 inches at the fork. And Justin and I, you know, and a lot of you guys out there, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Over the years, you've put that fish in the box at the minimum limit. And when you got back to the dock, he undermeasured.
Yep.
Cobia, for whatever reason, have a tendency to shrink a half an inch
when you put them on ice.
So I always personally, I look at a fish at 36 inches at the fork. I'm looking at 37, 36 and 3/4, 37 inches, because I don't want to get back to the dock and get that fish measured, and then all of a sudden, you know, $289 ticket, and we don't get to keep the fish.
Yeah,
not fun.
No.
Hey, let's go to the phone lines. We've got we got Captain Ted Lund calling in from Chickenville this morning. Good morning, Ted.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're terrible. I get up every morning and I send a letter to the governor asking why we have this woke policy of protecting chickens.
Key
terrible.
West chickens, they're a staple anymore. It's like, you know, it's like the iguanas in Miami. It's like it is what it is.
Iguanas here, we call them chicken of the tree. I'll leave that to everybody's imagination why we call them that.
Yep. Well, buddy, what's been going on in Key West? Are you guys having a good winter so far? It's been a while since we've talked.
The weather has been really iffy, and I mean all year long, not just this winter, but we've had more west wind this summer than I've ever remembered. I mean, that's pretty much a typical wintertime pattern for us, and it blows just 1 degree out of the west, and it shuts everything down.
That's interesting, because other places, you know, you get a west wind and the bite picks up. So in Key West, though, that's not the preferred wind. So if you're looking for a great day, I'm gonna make my day. What this time of the year, what are your conditions looking like when you're pulling dock lines off and shoving away from the dock?
Southeast 10 to 12 is what you want.
Gotcha.
I mean, either that or you want a cold front coming through, and then about 12 to 15 hours before the cold front comes through, it slicks off, and then you can go slay the wahoos, which they've actually been doing pretty well on this year.
Gotcha.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this Cape Canaveral thing.
Yeah, it's been all over the social media posts here lately about what's going on out at Port Canaveral, and I don't understand how the port has gone from what it's gone to what it's going to, because
because you have people like Wayne Justice in charge that like to tell you that we have more public access to port property than any other commercial port in the state of Florida, which that's not true. They've restricted us by about 98%.
Yeah.
And now they're going to put a long-time business. I remember when Jerry opened that.
Yeah, Cape Marina has been been there a long time. You're right about that. 50 years.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's an example of what we were going through with the train. That none of the tenants wanted to say anything. Well, when you don't speak up, this is what happens. And it's not like Alex, Sue Ford, and I didn't warn everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's really kind of the frustrating thing, because now, 10 years on, it's happening. So I've actually reached out to Cape Marina and offered my services. I wouldn't mind getting back into that, because we did a pretty good job last time.
Yes.
I just don't understand how they can take the only working waterfront marina out.
Yeah.
And there's actually state regulations against that.
That's interesting. Like you say, because they're really the only marina that encompasses all of the features that a marina can encompass in the Port Canaveral area, to my knowledge. They have a haul out service where they put you in and out on a drive, on a dry.
Yeah, and they got two lifts.
Two lifts.
Forklifts.
Yeah, and they've got dry stack, they've got wet slips, they've got fuel, they've got a ship store. They've got all of the things that you would need. Plus, they've got a shipyard where you can do haul outs, repairs. Vendors can come in and do repairs. And there's not a lot of places anywhere up and down the eastern seaboard of the United States that has the kind of facility and the size of an operation to be able to do what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I living in Key West, which has traditionally been a marine town. We have one boatyard left.
Wow.
And it's not even as nice as Cape Marina. So yeah, it's very frustrating, and it's just what we need is another cruise ship. That's really the answer.
Yeah. Well, it would be one thing if all of the cruise passengers that were coming in and out of Port Canaveral were offsetting local residents' taxes or something to that effect, but they're not.
God, don't mention that. The port will they'll start charging a tax and keep it for themselves. I mean, they really are bad news. I guess the only saving grace is that justice, I believe, is done after this term. But I kind of put this squarely, really, on John Murray as well. This is his vision. He wants us to be Tampa Bay, and it's kind of a shame. But at least we don't have a train. That's the big thing.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing I don't understand is, when you go out to the port in the morning time anymore, with multiple cruise ships now on the south side, it is virtually impossible to get to and from the boat ramp some mornings. Like my typical routine.
Not even that. Try fishing from the dock like we used to do.
Oh, you can't fish from the dock hardly anywhere. That's out.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
But the amount of traffic that is coming, when you put 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 passengers on a cruise ship, they have to get back off. So now you've got traffic in both directions. You've got traffic when they're getting on. You've got traffic when they're getting off. And our, Justin and my typical routine in the morning is to pull into Port Canaveral, pull into Sunrise Marina. They've got a drive through where we can pick up our bait, our ice, all the things that we need. And then pull back out of Sunrise Marina and then go to the boat ramp that's at the east end of the port. And we have now had to factor in an extra 15 minutes into our morning to deal with the amount of traffic just from Cruise Terminal 1 and Cruise Terminal 3. Now,
and how easy would it have been just to drop in right there at Sunrise if they had
it would have been if they wouldn't have taken that boat ramp away, it would be way easier,
I mean, it just sooner or later the locals are going to have to take back over.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of what it comes down to. And I was actually thinking about it, and I may do this Monday. I'm going to call Jerry Allender and see what's he think about this. I mean, these guys, they get elbow and arm aches from patting themselves on the back. But, I mean, what about the people? And I would imagine the folks from Orlando are probably up in arms.
Well, anybody that uses the port as a recreational fishing destination or as a commercial fishing destination. Because both of those sides are kind of under attack from the cruise lines that the Port Authority is wanting to put in there now.
Well, what's the option? I mean, if you're a working charter captain or a commercial fisherman, are you going to have to go through the locks and go out through the port?
If the port has its way, it seems like that's what they want.
I just don't understand it. I'll keep an eye on this, and we'll talk again. And this really bothers me.
It's not a.
I don't
good,
even live there anymore, and it bothers me.
Yeah, it's not a good proposition, that's for sure. Well, buddy, we appreciate you calling in this morning, and let us know what you find out.
Will do.
All right, we'll talk during the week, Ted.
Thanks, Jim. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Gang, we're going to take our top of the hour break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch Your Memory, so don't go away. Captain Justin Ross and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be right back after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you once again by Blue Points Marine out at Port Canaveral, and we appreciate those guys sponsoring this segment of the show. Captain Justin Ross and myself, Jim Ross, are here. This is the second hour of Catch Your Memory Outdoors, and we would love to hear from you. Please give us a call, 321-632-1000. If you have any questions you want to ask us, or if you've got any comments for the show, we've got actually a caller on the line right now. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. Captain Mike Mann's on the line. Good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you today?
Doing
Hanging in
good.
there.
Doing good, man. How about you?
Doing well, man. Had a good couple days of fishing despite the bipolar weather we had, and got a day off, and I'm getting ready to get some boat maintenance done, and then I got a long stretch ahead of me.
That's a good thing. Long stretches are good stretches.
They are. Yeah, you just hope you get long periods of similar weather, and I don't think I'm going to for some reason.
No, it's yo-yoing. We were talking about that in the first hour, Mike, how the yo-yo in temperature is affecting the bite. Every single day there's something different going on.
Oh, yeah, something different biting. It's, Wednesday we were on the reds. Great. Redfish bite was phenomenal. Couldn't get anything else to eat. Thursday, black drum. Got lots of black drum to eat, no reds. Yesterday, it was basically a lot of rat reds. Was about all we could get to eat. But, it's 3 major wind direction changes in 3 days, 3 temperature changes in 3 days, and 3 cloud cover changes.
Yeah, and I am not a fan of cloud cover in the wintertime. It really degrades your bite so much. The fish, we have tropical fish here, and tropical fish like sunshine.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter.
Especially when it's cold.
Yeah. And if it gets overcast, Thursday afternoon, it clouded up on us, and man, the bite just quit. We were sitting in the middle of the major. The major on Thursday was from around 2-something-ish to around 4-something-ish. And I'm thinking, oh, we are going to crush it. Nope. Pressure was up to 30.25 that afternoon.
Jeez.
Yeah, it went sky high. Cloud cover came in, and I'm like, I just told my customers, I was like, we're fighting a losing battle. Mother Nature is kicking our butt right now because the sun's not coming out and the barometer's not dropping. I said, if either of those 2 things were to happen, it would be better. But for now, we're just going to look at the fish, look at us, look at them. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Caught very few of them on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, and the one saving grace as a fishing guide is we're fishing guides. We have guided you to fish.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the fish.
They're right there.
There they are.
You go through a list of things here. Well, let's try doing this. Let's squeeze the head off a shrimp. Let's just squeeze them a little bit. Let's peel them. Let's try everything possible. Look, guys, they're not eating.
Yep. 2 shrimp on 1 hook.
Yeah.
little shrimp kebabs.
It's a BOGO. Come on, guys. It's a BOGO. Pick it up.
Try moving it a little bit. Try letting it sit still. Try giving it a hop. Just drag it on the bottom a little.
Yeah.
You go through all these different things, and then you're like, look, they're not hungry.
Yep.
And that's where it's up. And then what I've started doing is I switch species because typically one species will eat, whether it's mangrove snapper, black drum, redfish, snook, whatever. typically you switch up and you can get something to eat. But there are those days when you've got this crazy weather like we've had where you can't even give a shrimp away to a school of mangrove snapper.
Yeah. It's frustrating when we get days like that.
And we're in March. How about this? March is typically our windiest month.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine if the winds if it's any windier than it's been the last 2 months.
I was going to say, it's been March for 4 months now, so what do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And I just want to go offshore some.
Well, we were talking about the water temperatures, and right now, 66 at the 4-mile buoy at Canaveral, about 65 or 66 at the 13-mile buoy off of Ponce, and 71 at the 20-mile buoy off Canaveral. Now, if you connect the dots, okay, that 68-degree water temperature break is coming right down. I'm assuming somewhere from around the party grounds down through to Chris Benson, down through to 8A, down through to Pelican Flats, down through to, the Bethel Shoal area off of Sebastian. And when you follow that 70 and a 90-foot contour, somewhere in there you're going to get the temperature, the water clarity, and the bait all lined up. That's where you're going to find those cobia.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of guys that are posting them from out off the deep, further reefs that are doing really well on them.
Yep.
I don't know what the weather's gonna be like this month. I just looked at the 10-day, and it was definitely a yo-yo again. It's for me, 10-day is we've got mid-70s most of the week, low 60s most of the week. Then Saturday it goes up to 80. Then it's back down to mid-70s. Oh, we've got some low 60s or mid-60s as the highs. And, there's just cloud cover every day.
That's the hardest part for us, I think, Mike, is when we have a El Nino type of a year and we get these wetter, cloudier patterns. To me, it seems like it shortens the bite window. The fish, their metabolism isn't as fast. They're not wanting to, they're not wanting to eat as much, and they're not wanting to chase as readily. And when you get cloud cover and cool temperatures, that just is the kind of bite you have, and that's the kind of winter we've had. It hasn't been an on-fire bite, with the exception of 1 or 2 days where the sun came out and it was medium winds, not high. High winds obviously typically mean a north wind this time of the year or a southwest wind, and that's either a post or prefrontal kind of a scenario. But when you get medium winds of 10 to 15 miles an hour and sun, that day is the magic day for this type of a season that we're having.
Yeah. Yeah, and, one of the things, we've had cool weather. We have not had cold weather.
No, we have not.
I think the lowest water temperature I've seen maybe 57, 58. We may have had 55 a couple of days, but, I like to see, a week of 58. A week below 60 is what I like to see at least. Yeah. And we have not had that. And so, I'm concerned, what the warmer temperature is going to bring.
Well, we were talking about that just a little bit earlier in the show is, when we were talking about the black drum in particular and when they bite best, it's from about 56 to about 62 degrees. And once it gets above 62, they slow way down. And you still see them, but they just don't seem to bite quite as well on most days.
Yeah, they have not been on a heavy feed, and they've been doing. There's big groups doing a lot of spawning over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the last 2 full moons have definitely been spawning for sure.
And I've found some really nice schools of redfish, but the water's been just warm enough or cool enough where they're schooled up, but warm enough where they are putting on their jogging shoes if they get spooked.
Yeah.
And when it's cool or you get in that 58 degree range, they don't run quite as far and they don't run quite as fast. So it gives you, okay, I bumped them up. Let me back off of where I spook the school up from, because you can't see them in the cloud cover till they lift up and rise up. Let me back off, let them settle down. Now with this 70-degree water temperature, you bump them, they run 100 yards to their next happy spot.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah, and what we've had with the wind is they run there, so you ease up on that spot. You try and, ideally it's an area where the next happy spot. You ease up to it and you get one out of there. Then they run right past you, back up into the wind, back to the first place.
Back to where they wanted to be originally.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Mike,
So,
we were talking about, I saw the first butterfly of the season the other day, and I'm like, okay, spring is coming, spring is coming. And, when those white butterflies are out, we always typically call those tarpon flies, but this was one of those little yellow ones. And right around the time that those little yellow ones pop out is just about the time that the water consistently stays between about 67, 68, and about 72 degrees. And for me, that is a prime time for big trout,
Yes.
But for some reason this year, I haven't hardly caught any trout, not just big trout, little trout, any
no
trout.
trout.
We're
Brother, it's not just you. If I'm catching trout, they are of the 10-inch variety as of late.
Yeah.
I did catch one last week. I think it was. We caught one that was 25 inches. We were working actually a black drum spot where it was kind of a post up and wait scenario. I'll tell you about it later. I'm not going to give too many details on the air.
Right.
But we were posted up waiting, and all of a sudden line takes off, and I'm like, well, that's fighting kind of like a red dog. Oh, we get up there, I'm like, and I go to net, I'm like, that's a huge trout.
Well, nice.
And we took some nice pictures, let her go, but that's the only big trout I've caught this year.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, the lack of, especially as many mangroves as we have thrown shrimp under, that Justin and I in particular have thrown shrimp under this year. I've caught since January 1st, I have caught one trout that was 18 inches. Everything else was 15 or below. I've only caught one.
Oh, yeah.
I've only caught one fish over the legal size limit, if you will. We're 2 months. We're January and February. We're 60 days into this at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, normally this time of year, I could go hit that east shoreline. I would like to. Oh, I can go up there and throw jigs and a paddle tail and limit out on trout within 30 minutes, and then just keep working through there and just having a blast catching a bunch of them. There haven't been any there. I don't know what's going on with the trout.
Yes, it's definitely a different scenario this year with that particular species. Black drum have been fine. Redfish have been okay. But man, trout have just been slow, really slow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what's happened to them. There hasn't been a kill-off, so they've moved somewhere. Have they dropped deep and they're waiting for the grass to kind of come back? Because I'm seeing in a lot of places, I'm seeing those little 3-inch sprigs of grass everywhere. So I'm hoping if we get some sunlight and get some growing weather, as it starts to warm up, we're going to start seeing that grass filling in really well this year. And I'm hoping it's going to be in a lot of places that the ones that didn't fill in last year will start filling in this year.
Well, let's hope so. I'm hoping that we can start to see a little bit more grass on the Indian River side. I mean, it was pretty good last year from Dummett Cove kind of around to about Cowpen Creek and the Black Point area. There was grass there. There was a little bit to the north up around Duck Roost, but sort of the rest of it, there really wasn't a lot of grass. There was a lot of calorpa, whatever you call it, but there wasn't a lot of actual grass. And so I'm hoping that we'll see a return this year of some more grass. It's, just remains to be seen. Well, buddy, we're up against our next break. How does somebody get a hold of Captain Mike Mann and jump on board with you?
Yeah, I've got days available at the end of the month, and I've also got days in April and May. You can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. Follow me on Instagram, CAPT Mike Mann with 2 N's, and Facebook,
Fat Fish Guide Service. Guys, get out there, catch a memory. Have a great weekend.
All right, brother. Appreciate the call this morning. You catch him up to and be safe.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Bye-bye now. Hey, gang, we're going to come back right after this break. We got another caller on the line, it sounds like, so don't go away. We got more Catch Your Memory right after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance, and you've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again. Nobody likes paying for insurance. I don't like paying for it. You don't like paying for it. But you got to have it. So make sure that you're getting the best possible policy. Make sure that your coverages are right. Make sure that your deductibles are right. Make sure you're not overcovered or undercovered. And make sure you're getting the best possible price. Call Petrucci Insurance, 321-632-1200, and they will do a rate quote for you and find you the best possible policy out there if they can. So that's what they do. That's what Petrucci Insurance is known for all these years, is helping you save money and not give it all of your hard-earned money to the insurance company. So give them a shout, 321-632-1200, and let them do a rate check today. We're going to go to the phone lines. We got Tino on the line from All About Archery. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, captains. Family of captains, I should say.
Family of captains.
The whole
That's right.
family of captains. I really enjoyed listening to all of you, and really caught my attention is the issue of support.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario where, I mean, I don't have all of the details on it, but you've got a company that's been, a leaseholder there, a tenant there for 50 years in good standing, to my knowledge. And now all of a sudden they're getting a non-renewal notice because we need another cruise ship, apparently. And that just doesn't seem right.
Which we all know we do not.
No.
The traffic situation along is like when you're trying to plan something that you don't have all the answers as to the traffic situation to begin with. Absolutely, we don't need another one. But my whole reason for calling is we had similar situations in which really, if you think about it, it is a right-out assault on all sportsmen. And we're not talking just you guys fishing, spear fishermen, fishing hunters. There's an all-out attack. So we have to be very careful, the people that we put in power and the people we elect.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we need to unite, not just the fishermen, but all sportsmen. This is an issue that all sportsmen should be united to create some kind of union so we have a voice when it comes to, because there are meetings in which these decisions are made. And if we don't show up, they do whatever they want.
And, the thing that I don't understand, I haven't really followed the money, if you will, but I understand, when Sea Escape came in here, all of a sudden, there was port charges. And then Big Red Boat came in here and more port charges. And then Carnival came in and, more port charges. All of these cruise ships, there is a port charge per passenger, not just for the boat to dock there. The boat's got to pay to dock there, okay? Got to pay for the services of being docked there. Where does the money go? Per passenger. So I pay $1,000 to go on a cruise, and $25 or $30 of that goes to the port authority. What does the port What does the port authority do
with that money?
Why is there such a need to drive so many cruise ships into this port? And like I said, I've not researched it, so I'm naive about it. I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there that can answer that question. I'm not one of them, but my question is if you got a passenger list of 5,000 people on a boat, and there's 4 or 5 boats in port with 5,000 passengers on them, where's all that money going? Who's getting that money? How is that money being utilized? What's the deal? Why such a push to take small local businesses and move them out of the port to bring in these monstrosities, these floating cities, if you will?
Yes.
I just there's got to be money transpiring somehow, some way that's
Absolutely.
benefiting the Port Authority commissioners.
That's right.
That's not
That's
being
right.
shown to the general public. Is my opinion of it.
I think they're just operating without any very little public supervision, and we need to get more involved, and more people need to get more involved, because sooner or later, you were just talking about imagine if you have to come through the locks. That would be a disaster.
That would be
in my
so
opinion.
annoying.
Oh, it's
And it's really a hinder to the public access.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine?
It's a huge hinder. We have to unite, and don't look just at you guys, you captains, or just fishermen. All sportsmen need to unite on this front. We did it at Bull Creek when they tried to take half of Bull Creek for no particular reason, under really non-true reasons they were putting out. Anyhow, we fought it. We kept it from happening, and the fight still continues today after years and years of doing that. But at least there are groups now, 2 groups that are definitely together in trying to keep this a public land. The same thing with your Ram. The same thing with Cape Canaveral. We have to all unite.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I'm
you
naive
definitely
as well
got a
as
point
you
there.
and some of it, but that is very interesting. Follow the money. They always say follow the money.
Yeah, I just don't. I want to know where the money from the cruise ships goes to, because, I mean,
All right.
if I'm seeing this correctly, they're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars off of these cruise ships, and yet,
yes, and it's never enough, and that's why they want another cruise ship.
well, and yet it took them almost 2 years to replace a canvas top on the cleaning table at the public boat ramp. It's a piece of canvas, guys. It's a couple of $100. Hell, you could have gone over to Harbor Freight and bought a tarp and stuck over it with some zip ties, if nothing else.
Yes, sir.
That would have been an easy fix in a day, but no, it took 2 years to replace the canvas on the only cleaning table, on the only public cleaning table in Port Canaveral. And now the bathrooms are broken.
Very careful who we elect.
Yeah, and now the bathrooms have been broken for a while.
Really?
And they're still not fixed.
And it's not like those cleaning tables are nice either. You got to take a deck brush or something with you before you clean your fish.
Yeah. And see, so I know that the people that were maintaining, as an example, the cleaning table at Port Canaveral, okay, when they first put that cleaning table up, nice cleaning table made out of aluminum, got poly starboard cutting surfaces, nice canvas over the top of it. There was a woman who worked for the Port Authority, Port Canaveral, that would come there twice a week and pressure wash it and bleach it and keep it clean. Well, that hasn't happened since COVID. That's been 3 years since I've seen her. And like Justin was saying, if you actually want to use the cleaning table, we take our little hand deck brush up there with us, and a lot of times a little spray bottle of soap, and clean a little spot off so that we've got a place that doesn't have blood and fish scales and slime and everything else on it. Because I'm sorry, everybody out there's not as clean about keeping up after themselves as other people are, and so they will leave a mess, if you know what I'm saying. But there used to be a dedicated person that came and cleaned with a pressure washer and bleach, cleaned, or some kind of a cleaning solution that smelled like bleach, that cleaned that facility. And if all of these millions of dollars are being brought in, but yet the place is in disrepair, where's the money going? So
that being said, in Bull Creek, what we used to do is have cleaning days. We used to go and pick up after people that are not as needy as the rest of us. But we would have 2 times a year go do a cleanup, pick up trash through Bull Creek. Involved, we're there, we're showing up. Something similar could be happening for you guys at the port. But we're going to come in there and take care of those tables one day, I don't know, once a month or once every 4 months, and be involved and let them see you
that you guys care about these access.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. We as consumers could do a much better job than what we're doing as well. And
We need to, because you're going to have to defend yourself
yeah.
to access, to maintain public access. Just look up and down A1A. I mean, I've been here since 78, and now you have to go squeeze through places, having a hard time to park to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Same thing's going to happen in the port. Next thing you know, they'll take it away from you.
Yep.
So good luck. I just thought I'd put my 2 cents on that.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
It's about all of us. It's about all of us. It's about the whole general public has an interest in this, and many of us are not aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for helping raise that awareness, Tino. We appreciate that call this morning.
Well, you're welcome, and have a great show.
All right, buddy. And we look forward to having you
Bye-bye.
in a couple of weeks as a guest host.
Looking forward to seeing you.
All right, buddy. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break, and then we've got another caller on the line, so don't go away. Captain Justin Ross and myself, Jim Ross, will be right back after these messages. Don't go away. So one of the things that Justin and I like to use a lot is their Ultimate Extreme Protectant. It's an interior and exterior multi-surface UV protectant. It works on plastic, vinyl, rubber, just any kind of soft material in particular. But one of the other things that I use the Extreme Protectant for is I spray it all over the steering mechanism on the boat, like your Sea Star, your power steering, and it helps keep pitting from occurring on the steering rods. It helps keep the rubber shaft or the rubber O seals lubricated that run up and down that shaft, and it just keeps everything from getting corroded. And then go to the front end of the boat. Your trolling motor.
Put it on the trolling motor.
Put it on the trolling motor, the shaft of the trolling motor, so that it slides up and down super easy, and you don't have any squeaking or any kind of thing like that going on. So it's just a good overall light duty protectant and slight lubricant, if you will, with obviously with UV inhibitors in it. So give it a try. You're going to find tons of uses for it. You can use it in your car as well, your truck as well. It just works really good on just about anything that you want to put it on. So Ultimate Extreme Protectant from Starbright, great product. Give it a try. You won't be disappointed. Hey, we're going to go right back to the phone lines. We have got Orson Tarver calling in on the line, and we've been talking a little bit about this Port Canaveral scenario and what's going on with Cape Marina and how sort of the port doesn't really seem to be, and they never really have been, to be honest with you, been friendly to the small local businesses. They want to cater to these, cater to the cruise ships more often.
Or even the recreational guys.
Yeah, and it's not, there's an imbalance there, and something fishy to me, no pun intended, is going on, because why do you need all of these cruise ships to be coming in here and displace all of these locals that are currently trying to just survive and make a living and provide services in many cases to other locals in the area? So why the need for another cruise terminal? Let's see if we can find out. Orson's got some answers for us maybe here. Good morning, Orson. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Jim. Man, my favorite topic, I think that's when we got to know each other actually quite pretty good, was back whenever they were taking away our boat ramps next to Sunrise.
Yeah.
Yep. So question for you. So what would you say are the top 3 industries in Brevard County, the top 3 industries?
Well, I would definitely say tourism, and then the space, space, and then after that, construction.
It's construction.
Yeah, construction. You've got house building going on, just rampant house building.
Well, and commercial. Okay, so you think about back to the two link together: the tourism, the construction, not so a little bit of the space, and also real estate, realtors. But anyway, so when you think about the port, they generate a lot of money, like you said. Where the money is actually just going, it goes back into the port. They're always improving the port, building new cruise terminals or fixing things up. Now, so that money there benefits, well, one, the construction industry, right? I mean, they don't build the stuff themselves. They hire construction companies.
Yeah, they hire Rush Construction or Bale Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing there's nothing nefarious about that. They put it out to public bid. These companies bid. They make money. And then you have the tourism industry. So the park and cruise industry up in Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach, where people get a hotel room, park their car, and go on a cruise, that is a ginormous industry for Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach area. And you've seen how many of those operations are there. It's a huge moneymaker.
Yes.
And that's construction, that's tourism. So now you got the tourism quantification in there. So you think now the 5 commissioners, they all exactly think the same, Jim. The reason why they do is the elections in Brevard County, it's a general election, but at the end of the day, everyone always votes for one particular party. We don't need to be political, but I'm being political. So really, each commissioner is actually determined at the primary level. So when these guys are running for that party, because they know that they're going to win the general, they only have to really, engage the people in that party, and the folks that, obviously who are in those industries, they are very much part of that party. So they just got to figure out how to get the guy they really think will be best for them to win the primary, and the guy just cruises to the win in the general election. It's really that straightforward, Jim. I mean, it's not. I mean, I wish there was some grand conspiracy or anything, but it's really just the structure of the politics in Brevard County. Everyone will vote for the party. One party always wins in the general. So in the primary, they just got to make sure they get the right commissioner that is pro-cruise ship, who's pro-construction, who's pro-tourism. That's all they got to do. And those guys get up there, and then they put the Captain Murray. I mean, he represents them. All 5 of them think the same, so they're going to make sure they're going to pick a Captain Murray guy who thinks just like them. And then this is just what happens. I mean, this is just a natural – I know I sound really down and out, but, we've seen this happen so many times, Jim, but it's really just a natural thing. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's us voters. I mean, if all we're going to do is vote for the same type of people all the time and never think about anyone else that has, a different letter in front of their name. I mean, there's a guy from Merritt Island, remember? What was that guy's name from Merritt Island who ran when the whole train thing was going on? Remember him?
I don't know who it was.
Ah, shoot. Okay, well, so it's probably one of the most qualified guys on paper, like decades of experience in the marine industry. I mean, he was like, he's probably one of the best people you can imagine going up there. But he wasn't of the right party. The guy got trounced. I mean, he probably would have been a great commissioner, and he probably was the most conservative guy of that party that was running. He probably would think he was actually probably, of that party. But, I mean, he just lost. So, I mean, I'm sorry to be negative, but we've seen this so many times, Jim, and it really just comes down to the structure of the politics, how it works. And Jim, there's not much money in us, man. Us local fishermen, using that boat ramp, buying bags of ice, that Cape Marina. I mean, that's not a lot of money, man. That's not much money at all. I mean, they're
not compared to what a cruise ship brings in. What I'm saying is, let's just say that.
Go ahead. I'm done with my rant.
let's just say that you've got. Okay, let's just say you've got Cape Marina, you've got Blue Points Marina, you've got Sunrise Marina, the three good sized marinas there in the port, and they provide services for the local community, I don't understand how the only working boatyard in this entire section of Florida is basically being scrapped, if you will. I mean, when you look at all of the boats that are out there that utilize a place like a Cape Marina, and it's the only place around that does what they do at the capacity that they have, why would you specifically target that particular place? It's odd.
You knew. You didn't know, Jim? They're moving Blue Points over to Cape Marina. So Blue Points is in the way of the cruise terminal, but Blue Points has a lot of boats in it, and it's a great operation. I mean, they're a sponsor of you. They're an amazing operation. So what they're doing is by getting rid of Cape Marina, that gives them the ability to shift Blue Points over. So Blue Points, remember whenever the cruise terminal was announced, they said Blue Points is not going away. It's just going to go to a different location. So you get rid of Cape Marina, which they have a lot of land. I mean, Cape Marina is probably one of the largest pieces of land.
Oh, yeah,
east,
definitely.
Except
Yeah.
for the cruise terminals. Yeah, so they're going to shift Blue Points over, and they'll put Blue Points over far enough to where they can make sure they get as much land for the cruise terminal, and then they're going to say, look, well, we didn't get rid of Blue Points. You know, you guys still got your boats in there. Yeah, we had to get rid of some other stuff, but, in the end, you should just be happy. That's what they're doing.
Politics. That's something that I don't really care about. Care
Yeah,
for.
man.
I shouldn't say care about. I don't care for is playing of
And
politics.
I promise I always call in, and I don't want to talk about politics on your show, but this is the one thing that is 100% politics driven is what's going on at this port, and it's all at the primary level. That's where these things are decided, is at the primary level. Everything else after that is, I mean, all five of those guys think the same way, Jim. They don't think differently. They're the exact same carbon copy person up there. So there you go.
So there you
I hope
have
that
it.
helps.
Well, I appreciate that, Orson.
I know I'm going to get some hate mail. I'm sure. I can't wait to see my Facebook feed after this. But what the hell? I'll
Well,
get thrashed.
it's if stating facts. If you're stating facts, then it is what it is. So, well, we appreciate your participation in the show this morning.
Yes, sir, man. All right, man. Take care, Jim. Maybe I'll see you out there someday.
Sounds good, buddy. Bye now. Well, guys and gals, you know what? Let's go ahead and take our next break, and then we're going to have our wrap-up with Captain Justin and myself talking about what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. And I'm really excited because we're going to go back and hit on something that Justin talked about earlier in the show. We're going to expand on that after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals. Appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. It's the last segment of Catch Remember Outdoors, and it's brought to you by Strike Zone down in Melbourne. You guys and gals haven't stopped down at Strike Zone, they got a lot of great products down there. Stop in, check them out. You will be impressed. Most definitely. Tell them you heard about it right here on Catch Your Memory. We've got this Bassmaster weigh-in, or Cocoa Bassmasters weigh-in, coming in at 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's going to be a lot of fun going out to that event. It's going to be interesting to see what the guys bring in.
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't seen a tournament myself. Haven't seen a tournament weigh-in at Point Set in a long time. Okay, and I can remember back in the day seeing some really, really big weights coming in out of there. It'd be interesting to see how they do today.
It's a 5-fish limit.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's typically 5-fish limit. It's typically what most bass tournaments are. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time, and of course, food, fun, raffle prizes, all kinds of fun stuff going on out there. Going to be out there at 3 o'clock at Burton Smith Park, there on 520, starting around 3. But Justin, we were talking about topwater plugs, and I was thinking during the break, topwater plug, Dave. The sun hasn't cracked the horizon yet.
Yep.
It's light enough to see and run to where you want to get to, but the sun hasn't actually broken the horizon yet. And you're throwing that topwater, whether it's that little chugger, a little chug bug, or a pop bar, something like that,
walk the dog,
or that skitter walk, and then seeing either the wake coming to eat it, or just boom, all of a sudden there's an explosion.
Yeah.
That's why we get up in the morning. That's one of the reasons we get up in the morning.
I love throwing topwater, especially I think it's a really good indicator, even more so than a soft plastic. If you're fishing an area and you're not quite sure that there's a good number of fish there, honestly, it really doesn't take long. If you start throwing the topwater around super early in the morning like that, you'll figure out if there are fish there, and if they want to feed. Because if they want to feed, they'll let you know. Yeah, and I think it's a ton of fun, and especially for people who've never done that sort of thing. We get customers, and if they've never thrown a topwater, and it's like you said, it's first light, real calm day, and you start throwing that thing around, and they get it working just right, and something comes up and it looks like it hit a landmine as they were bringing it in.
Exactly.
It's so much fun. I love that.
That is definitely a feature of springtime. That is for sure. And even if you're a live bait guy, and you're not okay, I can't throw a top water. I don't care to throw a top water. You put a mullet out there, and he's out there swimming around, free lining on top or under a cork, and then all of a sudden you see him start jumping out of the water and trying to, trying to get away.
He wants to be a bird, not a fish.
Yeah, it's game on. That those days are coming. Mike was just looking at the long-term forecast. Mike Mann was here a little bit ago, and he says it's supposed to still stay cloudy. It's all right. Florida's the sunshine state. It's not staying cloudy forever.
Yeah.
And when those fish decide that it's time to feed, that morning bite. One of the places that I really like to throw a topwater plug is up around in the Oak Hill area. And you've got a ton of different little islands and things with cuts and little passages through them. And I find that in the morning time, because there's a little bit of current there, the fish will set up and stage on those points a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And you go by and you start casting at those points, and it seems like sometimes, some mornings, every single point has got a redfish or a trout on it.
Yep.
And the other place that I think about a lot whenever I'm thinking about topwater plug fishing is around Horty Point on the tip of Newfound Harbor, the tip of Dragon Point, because Dragon Point, I haven't fished down there in a number of years, but I remember when I was fishing down in that area a lot, about 8 or 10 years ago. And you could throw a topwater plug around Dragon Point, and you didn't know if you were getting a big trout, March and April in particular, 25, 27-inch trout, a redfish, a jack, a snook, or sometimes mangrove snapper. You would actually get mangrove snapper around those little rocky edges that would come out and hit a topwater plug.
I tell you what, it's something that you don't want to do. Well, you want to do it, but you try not to do it. But pitching around mangroves too, when you can get up into the little mangrove pockets, pitch your plug your popper, whatever it is, way up in a little cove or canal or whatever it is, a little opening,
little overhang.
Yeah, if you can get it up in there and you start to work that thing out, and you see that wake following it out, know it's on after that.
Game on.
Yeah,
it is game on at that point.
Yeah,
that is the truth, man. Well, of course, and then I was just respooling some rods yesterday, and had a tip that was loose on one of my rods, so I put some more rod tip glue on it, and got that thing tightened up. And that particular rod is an intermediate rod. It's not a heavy. It's got a 4,500 pin slammer DX on it, and I've got 20 pound braid on it, maybe 30-pound braid on it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a cobia catching son of a gun.
Yeah.
Sight, there's, a lot of times the fish that you sight fish, or fish off of a piece of structure, those fish are typically smaller fish.
Mm-hmm.
And smaller fish, fortunately, are dumber fish. And they will eat a topwater plug, they'll eat a suspending plug, they'll eat a jig. They're not the big, heavy, old smart fish. And so I set that thing up with a lure on it, so that whenever that opportunity comes, thinking of that azalea bush next door blooming its butt off, I'm thinking any day. So I just went ahead and rigged it right straight up for a cobia type of scenario.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we preach, especially with cobia fishing, is always have a pitch rod ready. Yeah. Always.
A plug, a live bait, or a jig.
Or something
set up specifically for them.
If it's that time of year and the water temp is right, and you're fishing where there could be cobia, always have that rod ready. Yeah. Because, I mean, how many times have you've been fishing, and you're kind of talking with your customers, doing something, and you turn around and there's a fish sitting right next to your prop.
Right there looking at you.
Looking at you.
Yep.
And So you don't want to be scrambling to get in the well, get a live bait out, get a rod out, hook him up, make sure he's good, pitch it back. Just having that pitch rod ready is such a big deal.
Little jig, little lure,
Yeah.
something that's ready to go at a moment's notice. And a bucktail with a trailer on it is a great thing to have. I throw a lot of we throw a lot of the R&R tackle bucktails, and they make a variety of them, and they just, you put a little trailer on that thing, and it's ready to go.
Yep.
Ready to go. Man, I tell you what, it's I'm getting excited about this time of the year. We've got some, not so great weather over the next 2 days, and of course over the next week it's going to be a little iffy. We're going to get some days out there, but man, anytime that once this El Nino stops and the clouds stop, it's going to break wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that sea lays down,
I'm gonna be out there.
yeah, we're heading straight for the reef.
Yep.
Straight for the reef, because I know somewhere along that reef we're going to find cobia, and I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. It's been a good year as far as fishing goes along the beach,
Mm-hmm.
with the bluefish in particular. Sheep's head this year has been really good.
Had a couple good days of flounder.
Flounder, black drum.
Yep.
Triple tail have been good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Like the triple tail have been really consistent.
Yep. But it's time for another species. Snook are going to turn back on, and cobia, and then
the tarpon will start
rolls
showing up.
right into tarpon
Yep.
time. So
Yep.
Yep, that is what I'm looking forward to. Well, we've got all of these things on our plate. The one thing that we haven't done is I just got two boxes of reels back from the repair shop. That's probably what we're going to end up doing this weekend or this coming week when we're not on the water. Is swapping out rods and reels and making sure all the drags are greased and all the lines are ready. And
Yeah, and it's perfect timing because two of my reels are starting to get a little crunchy. Like most of them are still running pretty good, but two of them I know for sure it's about time to swap them out, send them off, and get them going.
And one last thing for you guys and gals out there, we're not quite into the season, but we're almost into the season. One of the things that I highly, highly recommend is that, when was the last time you had your boat trailer serviced? Right now is a perfect time. Get your motor serviced on your boat, get your trailer serviced, go down to Ferguson's down in Melbourne, have them service your trailer. Every single year I take my trailers and get them serviced, because that way 2 weeks into the fishing season, I don't have a bearing go bad. I don't have a hub, break. I don't have whatever it happens to be. The actuator on the disc for the brake stops working. There's always all those little things. Your trailer lights aren't going out on you.
Yeah.
There's always something that you have to take care of, because we're dunking these things in salt water every day, and of course salt water just eats everything up. So right now, if you're not fishing, right now is the time to be getting prepped.
Yeah,
because it's getting ready to break wide.
Filling the tackle boxes up, making sure you got all the leader you need, swapping out your reels, respooling your line if it's starting to get old, getting everything ready for that springtime firefight.
Yeah.
Which is going to lead straight into summer. And
you won't have time to do it.
No.
And you'll be aggravated at yourself for not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why didn't I do it then? Exactly. Yep. Well, guys and gals, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Catch Your Memory every week live 7 to 9 on Saturday mornings for those of you that have just joined us here in the last couple of minutes. And look forward to seeing you guys and gals out there on the water or in the woods